All right, folks, welcome back. It is week 8 of the NFL. We are almost halfway through the season. Let's get right on into the news and notes. Pete Carroll takes responsibility for Doug Baldwin's sideline outburst. He's built an emotional team led by fiery players, and the occasional flare-up is just a product of his philosophy.
I didn't see it. I know the Seahawks haven't been playing as good as they have. They wanted to. They beat a formidable opponent last week with the Giants. I think the character of the team is basically representative of the head coach, who's a free spirit, cheerleader on the sidelines. Pete Carroll is a guy who, he's the oldest head coach in the league, but you never know it by his shenanigans and the way he goes about coaching. Doug Baldwin's a guy that doesn't really show his emotions. But you always have Richard Seymour and Cam Chancellor and the linebacker there. But they're very outspoken. And, when they had their defense, the Legion of Doom or Legion of Boom or whatever the hell it was called, they're very outspoken but that doesn't change their age, which they're getting older. And, I still think they'll win that division. The Rams are 5-2, but I still think Seattle will win that division. But Pete Carroll is a guy who used to coach in New England, made the playoffs. Didn't get along with Kraft, so he got the hook. He goes to the Jets, and then he goes to USC, where he.
Pete Carroll was a coach of the Jets.
Yeah.
What? Really?
I believe so.
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought he was the coach of the Jets.
Well, you might be right. Let me look this up.
But then he goes to USC, and he creates a powerhouse, but is cheating the whole time. And then he, right when the hammer was going to come down, and he left because he knew there were going to be big time sanctions, and then he ended up in Seattle, has won a Super Bowl there, and been to another one. So we'll see what Seattle can do for the rest of the year.
No, he did not coach for the Jets. So he was the head coach of the Pats in '97. He replaced Bill Parcells. Then he was fired after the '99 season. Robert Kraft said firing was one of the toughest decisions he ever had to make since buying the team. A lot of things are going on that made it difficult for him to stay, some of which were out of his control, and beginning with following a legend. His combined NFL record as a head coach was 33-31 at the time. He was considered a much better fit for college football than the NFL after his success at USC. Even though several NFL teams approached him with defensive coordinator positions, Carroll instead spent the 2000 season as a consultant for pro and college teams, doing charitable work for the NFL and calling about pro football for CNNSI.com. That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. Let it be. Then he was the coach of the Trojans from 2000 to 2009, and then he went to Seattle in 2010. So he was never a coach of the Jets. Yeah, I didn't think so. All right. Well, Falcons bring back former first-rounder Sean Weatherspoon. They're hurting at linebacker. They re-signed their 2010 first-round pick Sean Weatherspoon on Tuesday morning.
Well, this is a guy who, has a lot of talent. And we'll see if he can, help out a woeful Jets team.
All right, Finns cast-off bench cornerback Maxwell fails. Veteran cornerback Byron Maxwell has been released by the Dolphins, who used the open roster spot to sign David Fales as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, that didn't work out. I don't know, has he been picked up by anyone?
Not yet. Not that I haven't seen.
But, he didn't fit into what Gase wanted to do down there, so... he's on the street now, so we'll see what happens.
Stephen A. Smith says the Giants need to clean the house. Stephen A. Smith doesn't think Ben McAdoo is the right replacement for former Giants head coach Tom Coughlin.
Well, it's easy to say that now, McAdoo is, I don't know if they've had a lot of injuries. Eli Manning is really showing his age. The defense is terrible. But I wouldn't be shocked if they traded Eli down to Jacksonville. I heard that. I don't know if that's a
That was earlier in the year.
yeah, but we'll see what happens.
Players lobby for criminal justice reform. Eagles players went to Harrisburg to lobby Pennsylvania legislatures to pass the Clean Slate Act, which would give some nonviolent offenders a better chance to succeed after paying for their crimes.
Well, everyone deserves a second chance, right? So we'll see how far that goes. But a lot of these convicts, unfortunately, they get a second or third chance and then get back in jail. So we'll see what happens.
Mike Tomlin, Martavis Bryant out of bounds with actions on social media. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin says he plans to visit with Martavis Bryant after the Pittsburgh wide receiver recently made comments regarding his desire for a trade.
Well, Pittsburgh's actually having a pretty good year this year. I think they're 5-2. This is a guy who's been in trouble since day one. He dropped in the draft because of his, his shenanigans. He's not a good teammate. He has a boatload of talent, but with that being said, he doesn't. I know Ben Roethlisberger's gotten his face a couple times. When he's healthy and he's not in trouble, he's a great talent that adds to that. Antonio Brown, and then receiving talent at the wide receiver position. So I think Tomlin's a guy who you either love him or you hate him. Some of his coaching strategies are not always looked at as positive, but at the same time, he's I think he's won one or two Super Bowls and been to the big game. So that defense is really going to carry him. But this guy has a lot of talent, and if he shut his mouth, I think he'd be more apt to have a better year.
So Antonio Brown has offered 2 tickets to a Steelers home game from whoever returns a stolen bicycle of rookie teammate Juju Smith-Schuster.
I don't know how it was stolen or what the specifics were, but good for Antonio Brown.
Giants GM Reese, quote, "I'm the reason we're 1-6. New York Giants general manager Jerry Reese takes the blame for the team's 1-6 start.
Well, I think he can take some of the blame. The Giants haven't done a great job in free agency, and Reese, hasn't done a great job with the draft. He's drafted, 2 very, very good Odell Beckham and then this guy Ingram, the rookie tight end. With that being said, the defense keeps on getting older, and they're not replacing them with, the New York Giants really, with their success, in the late 2000s into the, where we are now, their success was based off of their defense, their defensive line, their linebackers, and they really haven't done a good job as far as replacing the guys that have left. And I think Reese, should take a lot of the blame, but at the same time, the guys have to go out there and play, and they're not playing for the head coach. So inevitably, it's going to fall on the GM and the head coach.
Cowboys have signed kicker Nugent with Bailey out. Cowboys signed veteran kicker Mike Nugent, left by to fill the gap left by Dan Bailey's injury.
He's a veteran guy, So we talked a lot about the field goal kickers last week, and the fact of the matter that there's a reason why these guys don't have a job right now, and that's because of either their inconsistency or they get it's field goal kicking is much like a golfer or a tennis player, and if it gets in your head, you're going to be thinking about it way too much, and you're going to end up missing. So he's definitely a veteran guy. They're lucky that he's out there on the team. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Reggie Bush will retire if he finds no NFL home. Reggie Bush, who played for 11 seasons since being drafted number 2 overall in 2006, says he feels great and wants to play, but has also molded his post-football future.
Well, Reggie Bush is really, when he came out in 2005, everyone thought he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. he ended up going number 2, and Mario Williams was the number 1 overall pick with Houston. Bush never really was acquainted with the NFL. It's almost like they couldn't find a place for him. Was he a running back? Was he a slot receiver? He was too fragile to be an every down running back, and really injuries have cost him a lot of years. And I don't know if he's well liked throughout the league. And I think his last team he was on was San Francisco, and then he tore his knee up, I believe. But with all that being said, just like kickers is a reason why he's not on the NFL roster. He doesn't really have a place in the because he's so fragile, and they don't want to pay this guy any money to have him break down during the year. So my money is on him retiring.
George R.R. Martin, who created Game of Thrones, he commented on the Jets' loss in Miami, a game of groans. Apparently, the torment of watching the Jets has gotten to the Game of Thrones creator, who vented online about Sunday's meltdown in Miami.
Well, with all due respect, this guy needs to stick to doing shows and movies. He's got no business. He's just a normal fan like anybody else, and just because he's popular and probably a multi whatever. I think that as a Jets fan, it's really difficult to be a Jets fan or a Jets player, or their comatose head coach. The Jets are just a terrible franchise. Have been for a while. Will be for a while. Until they get a quarterback. Until they get a legitimate head coach in there. Until they get a legitimate running game and a legitimate defense and legitimate defensive backs and special teams. But with that being said, were they 3-4? So they had that game. They should have beat Miami. The late pick, cost them the game. So with all that being said, you got to give the Jets a lot of credit for where they are now. I don't think anyone,
I think this. We were thinking. Obviously, we thought the Jets were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year, and the fact that they're even 3-4, it has to end based on what Woody Williams or whatever the hell his name is.
Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson's brother, right? Woody Johnson is out in France somewhere, right? So who's his brother running the team? All right. So what his brother stated, which was, we're not going to do wins and losses. We're going to see how the team plays. It's going to bode well for Todd Bowles at this point.
Sure. Sure. When you have two essential retards, running an NFL franchise, and the brother comes out and says it doesn't matter about wins and losses, all this other garbage, it really, shows that they. When the owner is overseas for the entire year, it really goes to show you how interested he is in the team. He probably doesn't even watch the games. He just, wants to make money off of, and that's probably why he's the owner. But I remember watching the Hard Knocks when they did the Jets, and Woody Johnson, tried to get involved in the player personnel, and it was just a nightmare. Unfortunately, you can't always have great ownership, but there's problems, from the top going down with the Jets, and they're going to continue to have problems until they get a quarterback.
Sendejo appeal was denied. He'll miss the Browns game. Viking safety Andrew Sendejo's one-game suspension has been upheld for a hit against Ravens receiver Mike Wallace on Sunday.
I didn't see it. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
Look, anytime you get suspended for a game, with the way look at Ezekiel Elliott, who's got suspended, then they let's say he was going to be able to appeal it. And then they said the appeal was denied, but now he appealed it again, so now he's going to play, with a 6-game looming suspension on top of his head. 1-game suspension. The Minnesota has really played well. I think they're probably going to win that division, NFC North division. And basically, he's a guy that's a hard hitter, and when you're a hard hitter, safety like Lawyer Malloy or like who's Rodney Harrison, and one of these times you're gonna eventually get a hit and clean someone's clock and get suspended for a game, and it's always going to be appealed. I would just take the suspension and just, sit out one game and lose a game check plus a fine. He's a good player, and, they need him in that back end of the secondary there. So, he'll be back after one game, and, we'll see what happens after that.
Vance Joseph, quote, trusts Broncos can get out of funk on offense. Following their first shutout in a generation, the Broncos ranked 24th in scoring offense, and even worse than that over the past 4 games.
The Broncos are a mystery team. They really are, I followed that game on my phone this Sunday, and they turned the ball over, and you have a team, San Diego, who was first and goal at the 1, and San Diego tried Melvin Gordon 4 straight times, and he didn't get in. I think the defense is very good. The offense, really with the question marks at the quarterback position, they don't really know who their running back is. They're playing Jamal Charles and, Anderson and all these other guys. Simeon's been hurt, so I think their offense is definitely better than a shutout versus a LA Chargers team. But at the same time, VJ, know him pretty well. Spent a lot of time with VJ, and he's I don't know if he's a head coach in the NFL. He's a slick guy. Was definitely a fan of the ladies. We'll say that. But was married with kids. He's one of those guys. But overall, VJ is like a JD. Okay. You don't always know. He'll tell you something, but you're always, is that true? Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Boatload of talent. Can never. I don't think he's a head coach, but we'll go from there.
Speaking of head coaches, Cardinals Arians refutes report he'll step down. Bruce Arians says he has no plans to step down as Cardinals head coach following this season, refuting a report.
I think that whole card now that what's his name's done for the year, Carson Palmer, who, the offensive line, really has not done a good job keeping Carson, off the ground. I think Arians' time is done there. I think he's done. You just look at Bruce Arians and you're like, he's tired. He that whole Cardinals, everything that they've done has really come to a grinding halt. They're really done for the year now that they don't have Palmer, and unfortunately Larry Fitzgerald's having a hell of a year. I think this is his 15th or 16th season, and he's playing like an MVP. They picked up Peterson. I mean, I don't want to say it's definitely over, but I think Bruce Arians should step down. You look at him on the sidelines and he just looks like a mess. Whether he says he's going to step down or not, he still has another half a season to go. So
Kaepernick shopping book deal, sources say.
Oh my God.
Colin Kaepernick has been shopping a story to book publishers, but no deal has been struck, sources said.
Colin Kaepernick, to write a book. I mean, this guy has had a cup of coffee in the NFL, and nobody wants him, whether he's being blackballed or now, or injustice, or whatever they tried to file against the NFL, and nobody wants him. Okay, it's just like it's just like that broad, that nobody wants, and they create all this, hoopla. Look, if someone inks him for a book deal, then they got more problems than Colin Kaepernick does, because how could he possibly write a book? It's only going to be about the whole taking a knee, but you got to remember, this is a guy who has 2 white parents, who has never, seen racial injustice or whatever, police brutality. He was, he lived in a rich part, and he went to a rich school, and he played football, and then ever since he, did something for racial equality, he's really, the guilty party with all this garbage now. So if someone signs him for a book deal, they're more confused than Colin Kaepernick is.
Defensive end Freeney, who's 37, agrees to deal with Seahawks. The Seahawks and free agent defensive end Dwight Freeney have agreed to a contract, with a source telling ESPN's Adam Schefter that it's a one-year deal.
You know, Dwight Freeney, hell of a talent, Hall of Famer. You know, I see a lot more teams doing this now is a situational pass rusher. You know, in the fourth quarter, when you know they're going to be passing the ball, you know, you put a guy like Freeney. You know, Peppers does this with Carolina. Long does this with Philly. You know, he's a situational guy. So look, if the guy still wants to play, he can probably get to the quarterback better than 80% of the pass rushers out there. But he'll be a situational guy. But it can never hurt to put a Hall of Famer that knows how to get to the quarterback on your team. So it's a good signing.
So the numbers show that T.Y. Hilton spoke the truth when he blamed offensive line. The Jaguars sacked Jacoby Brissett 10 times on Sunday, and the numbers indicate that the majority of the blame does not fall on the quarterback.
Indy, there's another guy that's done is Pagano. You know, they got their asses cleaned by Jacksonville at home. That Indy team is just soft. They're sorry. Their star quarterback, it doesn't look like he's going to take any snaps this year. You got to give credit to Jacoby Brissett for he's played. Overall he's played a great year. For what it's worth. The offensive line clearly is not where it needs to be, but at the same time, as a teammate with T.Y. Hilton, you can't come out and blame your fellow locker room teammates because it's not going to help anything. So he just needs to shut his mouth and play football.
Why a sweep by AFC East could mean an end to Falcons' playoff hopes. 89 teams have gone 0-4 against a division other than their own since 2002, and only 2 of those have made the playoffs.
The Falcons, like I said from the beginning, they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover, and they're really a decent football team at best. I mean, they're not running the ball. Matt Ryan's having a terrible year. They were shut down by a powerhouse defense in New England on Sunday night. So with all that being said, Dan Quinn, who's a defensive guy, that defense hasn't. I mean, they were up 17-0 against or 16-0 or whatever it was.
17-0 against Miami.
17-0 against Miami, and they let the Dolphins come back and beat them. So that right there shows that they're not a good football team. I don't even think they lost many guys since last year. It's the same team, right?
Yep.
So is Shanahan really the difference? Maybe he is. Atlanta, I don't know if the loss is still haunting them, but if it is, it's really showing this year, and the Saints have really taken off as far as who wants to win that division. And the AFC South, is notorious for having a different team win that division every single year. But, just like I knew they would, I knew New England was going to, kick the shit out of them because I don't think Atlanta's that good of a football team.
Proven run stuffer Darryl Tapp also adds scheme versatility to the Bucs. Darryl Tapp, who will be signing with the Buccaneers, is expected to boost an ailing pass rush with his versatility and efficiency against the run.
Darryl Tapp, wow, there's a blast from the past. Does it say how many years he's been in the league? 13, 14 years maybe? It's the guy from Virginia Tech. I remember I loved scouting him.
12-year veteran.
12 years, okay.
He's 33 years old.
Yeah, okay. So this is a guy who, growing up, he used to put ankle weights on his ankles and ride his bike uphill, and that's where he got all of his speed from. I didn't realize that he was still in the league. I hadn't heard his name in years. So, but once again, we go back to the age-old. There's a reason why he's on the street. But Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. They suck. I knew from the beginning. Jameis Winston, or as Andy says, Jameson Winston.
Now I call him Jameis. I think is what I do.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that they're a bad football team. Dirk Cutter's a bad head coach.
Dirk Cutter.
What did I say?
Derek Cutter.
Dirk, sorry. The idea that Daryl Tapp's going to come in and change the game for the Tampa Bay Bucks, he's a nice player, but he's not going to, I mean, they're not all going to all of a sudden win football games because they got Daryl Tapp on their team.
Lions signed kicker Prater to a 3-year extension.
Oh,
Pro
boy.
Bowl kicker Matt Prater, who holds the NFL record for the longest ever field goal at 64 yards, has signed a 3-year extension with the Lions.
Good for him.
Falcons Dan Quinn. Duke Riley likely out, quote, couple weeks after knee surgery. The extent of rookie Duke Riley's meniscus tear is unknown, and the team brought back Sean Witherspoon, which you talked about earlier, to add linebacker depth.
No comment.
Okay. We got Ravens-Dolphins bring NFL's worst offenses into prime time. The Ravens have won offensive touchdown in the past 10 quarters, and the Dolphins are actually ranked worse than them.
Well, I think the Ravens suck. Okay, they're a bad football team, and the fact of the matter that I have consistently taken them, and I finally didn't take them, and they got their asses beat by Minnesota. I think Miami's going to win this football game outright. I think Miami's going to run the ball down their throat. Joe Flacco is terrible. He's probably the most overrated player in the NFL with what he's getting paid. You know, the Ravens are just, I hate Harbaugh. John Harbaugh and just all the garbage that he's gone back with New England, and, how New England has really, embarrassed him, when they run a couple of those plays and kept throwing the ball to the left or the right tackle, and then he's complaining, he's crying because it was illegal this and illegal that, and it was completely legal. So, I think the Ravens are really taking steps back. Their offense is garbage. Their defense, is still pretty decent, but not the defense of old. So, I like Miami in this game all the way. I think they're going to win the game outright. And I just hate the Ravens. I hate them. I hate the Ravens. Every time I need them to win something, they always lose consistently. So
the Steelers. Deshaun Kaiser's current interception percentage, one of worst in past decade. Deshaun Kaiser's current 6.1% interception rate is one of the worst in the NFL since 2001 and puts the Browns rookie in rather dubious company.
With this kid, he's a good player. Unfortunately, he's on a terrible team, and if you're going to get your interceptions out of your system, do it while you're a rookie, because they're still 0-7. The worst team in football. I think the Niners are a slight, a hair better than them, but let him just throw the ball, chuck it around. Brett Favre is a young player, threw a bunch of interceptions. Now, don't for 1 second think I think this guy's going to be Brett Favre, but at the same time, you look at quarterbacks in their first year. Peyton Manning threw a bowl of interceptions. Andrew Luck, so it's really not all of his fault. He's really throwing to JV players pretty much. So. And then Joe Thomas went down, and left tackle went down for the first time in like 12,000 games or something like that. So.
Injuries to Trent Williams, Brandon Scherf highlight Redskins' health issues. The Redskins are dealing with multiple health issues heading into Sunday's game against the Cowboys and don't have the luxury of a bye week anymore.
The Washington Redskins lost both their right and their left tackle. They got their asses handed to them. They almost lost to San Francisco. They're in a tough spot, and really injuries have piled up for the Skins, and they really have to stop the bleeding soon. And I don't think they're going to do it against Dallas this week. I think as long as Elliott's not suspended, I think Dallas is a lot better football team. So we'll see what happens.
Source: Saints to cut ex-starting cornerback Moore. The Saints are releasing former starting cornerback Sterling Moore, source told ESPN.
I don't know the specifics on this. It could be not getting along with his other teammates or the coaches, but, he'll get picked up by somebody very soon.
Raiders running back Lynch suspension upheld on appeal. The NFL upheld its one-game suspension of Marshawn Lynch, meaning the Raiders running back will not play Sunday against the Bills.
Yeah, he pushed the ref. Now, Marshawn Lynch, we can go back to day one with this guy. He's a thug. He doesn't really care about anything but himself. Oakland's a good spot for him. But with that being said, anytime you put your hands on the official of a referee or an official, you're going to have some big-time punishment. I'm surprised it's only one game. Marshawn Lynch is a guy that's notorious for getting suspended and, doesn't really care. So I don't feel bad for him.
The case for Cardinals signing Colin Kaepernick outweighs the case against. With Carson Palmer out for an extended period, it's natural to wonder if the Cardinals should sign Colin Kaepernick. Let's break down the situation.
Okay, let's break it down. The Cardinals are in a tailspin because they lost their quarterback. Colin Kaepernick has not been signed yet. I think a couple of 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago we went through all the people that have been signed. Instead of Colin Kaepernick, and it's almost like, he is being blackballed. I hope he gets signed just so he can end this garbage that, he's still a good football player. If he was really good, people would turn a blind eye and say he made a mistake with the whole anthem thing. At the same time, can he help Arizona? I don't think he can hurt them, but at the same time, he still is Colin Kaepernick, a guy with not much talent.
All right, so let's go into last week. Last week against the spread, I went 6-8-1, and you went 8-6-1. So now you have a one-game lead over me. You are now 49-56-1, and I am 48-57-1. The tie being the push between the Jets and Dolphins. Miami was -3, and they won by 3. So overall,
what was the Buffalo spread?
Buffalo, I think, was favored by 5.5.
No, they were favored by 3.
Oh, you're right. Wait a minute. So then they won by 3.
Yeah, so they
sure Buffalo also was a push there too.
Yeah.
All right. So technically I went 5-8-2, 5-8-2, and you went 7-6-2. 5-8-2, 7-6-2. So now I'm 47-57-2, and you are 48-56-2. 48-56-2. All right, now. Last week, let's see. So I went 8-7. McLovin went 11-4, and EDP actually went 9-6.
Wow.
So the upgraded standings: McLovin first at 64-42. I'm second at 59-47, 5 games behind McLovin. EDP with his 9-6 in the times he's been with us is now 31-44. Now, in the Division 1, yes to anything that is cool, awesome, went 11-4. Steve Golden went 11-4. Vadix 9-6. CV Gun 10-5. Dan McLean 10-5. Lev Maker 10-5, and Cali Guy 9-6. So the upgraded standings there. The updated standings, not upgraded. Dan McLean still in first at 67-39. He has a 3-game lead over McLovin overall. Second place, we have CV Gunn at 62-42, 3 games out. Wait a minute. 60, that's impossible. Where's CV Gunn? He's going to be 64-42. No, I have him 52-37. Doesn't make any sense. 7, 9, 89. That's 91. He should be 54. CV Gunn, 52-37, but that's not right. I have everybody at 91 except him. I have him at 89. So why would that be? If I go back the previous week to CV Gunn, where is he? 39-24 and 7's 46-31. That's correct. And then 46-31, and then he went 8. That's why. He was 54-37. All right. So he is 64-42, CV Gunn. So he is 3 games out. Tied with McLovin. Third place, we have a tie between Steve Goldman, Vadix, and Lev Maker at 60-46. So it's tied for third, tied for third, tied for third. They are 7 games out. Okay. And then sixth place, yes to anything that is cool, awesome at 59-47. He is 8 games out. And then last place, Cali Guy, 54 and 52. He is 13 games out. And then in the small division, we had Jennifer went 7 and 8. She is now 30 and 29. Blake Rios had a 14 and 1 week.
That's crazy.
He is in first there at 36 and 23. Blake Rios, you win a gift card. And then Dennis Ramirez went 11 and 4. Not a bad week. But you tied McLovin. No, nothing for you. But you're 31 and 28 overall. You took over second place. Jennifer's in last. She is 6 games out of first. Now, in other news, Brent, you went 12 and 3, so you get a gift card. So 2 gift cards handed out. One to Blake Rios, one to Brent. And let's go right on into this week. My nose is running here. Thursday night's game, we have Miami 4 and 2, 2 and 1 away, going into Baltimore 3 and 4, 1 and 2 at home. Baltimore favored by 3.
Give me Miami plus the points.
Okay. Next up, Sunday, 9:30 a.m. in London. We have a barn burner. Minnesota 5 and 2, going up against Cleveland 0 and 7. Minnesota favored by 9.5.
Minnesota minus 9.5.
All right, now this is going to be a ridiculous pick.
No, it's not, because I was going to take. I was just.
Well, here's the thing, and there's plenty of articles out there that apparently overseas there are a ton of Cleveland Browns fans, a ton of them, like a ton of them, Scotland and all sorts of shit. So I'm going to take Cleveland not only to cover, but I'm going to take them somehow to win the game.
Okay.
Okay. Oakland, 1 o'clock.
Okay,
Oakland,
yeah.
3 and 4, 1 and 2 away. Going into Buffalo, 4 and 2, 3 and 0 at home. Buffalo favored by 2.5 over the Raiders. Who do you have?
Buffalo minus 2.5.
I'm going to take Oakland
Nice.
plus 2.5.
So that's two more games.
2 more games, yeah. Colts, 2 and 5, 0 and 3 on the road against Cincinnati. 2 and 4, 1 and 2 at home. Cincinnati favored by 10.
Taking the Colts plus 10.
Okay, so I'm here. Indy plus 10. All right, next up we have Los Angeles Chargers 3 and 4, 2 and 1 on the road against the Pats. 5 and 2, 2 and 2 at home. Pats favored by 7.
I wish this was 6.5. I'm going to take the Chargers plus the points.
Okay, same here. Chicago 3 and 4, 1 and 2 on the road against New Orleans. 4 and 2, 1 and 1 at home. New Orleans favored by 9.
Chicago plus 9.
Same here. Next up, we have Atlanta 3 and 2, 2 and 1, 3 and 3, 2 and 1 on the road against the Jets. 3 and 4, 2 and 1 at home. Atlanta on the road favored by 5.
I'm taking the Jets plus 5.
Taking Atlanta minus 5. Okay. San Francisco 0 and 7, 0 and 4 on the road, going into Philly to take on the Eagles. 6 and 1, 3 and 0 at home. Philly favored by 12.5.
Taking San Francisco plus the points.
All right, San Francisco got murdered by Dallas by 30. I think Philadelphia is a better team than Dallas is.
Yeah.
Having said that,
That's a lot of points. So.
I'm taking Philly plus 12, minus 12.5.
Okay.
All right, you're taking
San Fran
plus the
12.5.
points. Yep. Okay. Next up, Carolina 4 and 3, 3 and 1 on the road against Tampa. 2 and 4, 2 and 1 at home. Tampa at home favored by 2.5.
Give me Carolina plus the points.
Every time I pick Carolina, they fuck me. As evidenced by last week's mutilation by the Bears for no reason. But I'm taking Carolina anyway. 4:05 game, Houston 3 and 3, 1 and 1 on the road against Seattle. 4 and 2, 2 and 0 at home. Seattle at home favored by 5.5.
Give me Houston plus 5.5.
Okay, I agree. 4:25 game, Dallas 3 and 3, 2 and 1 on the road against Washington. 3 and 3, 2 and 1 at home. Dallas on the road favored by 2.
Dallas minus 2.
Correct. 8:30 game, Sunday night, Pittsburgh 5 and 2, 3 and 1 on the road, going into Detroit 3 and 3, 1 and 2 at home. Pittsburgh on the road favored by 3.
Pittsburgh minus 3.
I'm taking Detroit plus 3 because I think Detroit's going to win this game outright. Pittsburgh, they can't score any fucking points. Pittsburgh minus 3, you have?
You can't score any points.
Yeah, they fucking score 15 points a game.
What are you talking about?
All right, Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati. They scored 29, but let's look at every other game they played. I mean, here, hold on a minute. Let's go to Monday night's game and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. Have I said that you're wrong?
He said, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they scored 29 points last week.
I'm not talking about Cincinnati. I'm talking
So
about
you're not
general.
including... Okay.
No. I'm not including the one anomaly.
Okay.
I mean, Denver, Monday night, Denver 3 and 3, 0 and 2 on the road against Kansas City. That's going to be a good game. Kansas City, well, it could be. Kansas City 5 and 2, 2 and 1 at home. Kansas City at home favored by 7.
Give me Denver plus 7.
All right, I agree there. Now, Let's go right on into the Steelers here. Let's see how many points. Let's see what their scores have been. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Well, all right. So they scored 21 against the Browns. They won by 3. They scored 26 against the Vikings. So there you go. They scored 17 against the Bears.
Okay.
They scored 26 against the Ravens.
There you go.
They scored 9 against the Jaguars.
Okay.
They scored 19 against the Chiefs.
Okay.
So out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games, they've scored 22 or more twice, 3 times, 3 out of 7.
Okay.
The other 4 games, one was 21 and everything else was way under 20.
Okay.
So overall, if I had a calculator, which I don't, I'd figure out what their points per game were. But I imagine,
18.
yeah, but that's my point. My point is, what are they? Pittsburgh. I think Detroit's offense, they're not going to win that game. Forget covering. They're not going to
But
win.
the Steelers had one of the best defenses. I think we got a caller.
Well, they gave really.
Yeah.
Who is it?
No.
Okay. Here's the thing. Jaguars, they scored 30 against the Jaguar. They gave up 30 points to the Jaguars. They gave up fucking, All right, let's see what we got. Who we got on the line here?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll continue to go.
Well, did somebody call, or are they going to call?
I think so. I'm waiting to see the response.
All right, well, anyway. Who's it, O'Keefe?
No.
Okay, so... so let's go into the picks. All right, let's go back to the scores. All right, over here. Look at me over here. All right. All right, Miami, Baltimore. Who do you have?
Miami.
Okay, agree. Next up, we have Minnesota, Cleveland. I already said I'm taking Cleveland.
Minnesota.
Okay. Oops, I fucking did that backwards. All right. Oakland, Buffalo. Who do you got?
Buffalo.
I'm taking Oakland.
That's 3 now.
It's not 3-0. Oh, you're 3-0. Colts, Bengals. Who do you have?
Bengals.
Yeah. Okay, next up, we have Los Angeles Chargers and Pats.
New England.
Okay.
You're
Bears,
gonna
Saints.
take New England this week?
Yeah, if I just say okay, I'm taking the same thing you
No,
are.
I know. I was just giving you.
All right, Bears, Saints. Yeah, I was wrong. Bears, Saints.
Saints.
Yep. Falcons, Jets.
Oh, God. Falcons.
Okay. 49ers, Eagles.
Eagles.
Yep. Panthers, Buccaneers.
Panthers.
Correct. Texans, Seahawks.
It's a tough one. I don't know. Seattle.
Correct. Dallas, Washington.
Dallas.
Okay, that's pretty easy. So far, we only differ on 2. Pittsburgh, Detroit. I told you Detroit's going to win outright.
Pittsburgh.
Okay, there's 3 there. And then Denver, Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I agree. All right.
So how many games are there?
How many games are there
14?
total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
So there's 6
The Packers, Titans, Rams, Giants, Cardinals, and Jags are all on
6
buys.
teams on buys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, that is the show. Thanks for watching. EDP will be with us next week. I wasn't able to get a hold of him today. We're doing the show early because where are you going, McLevin?
I'm going to the Mohegan Sun tonight. Providence College is playing the University of Connecticut. It's going to be a great game, exhibition game, but it's for the hurricane relief. They're raising money. But I've never been. I guess the Mohegan Sun is a nice little basketball arena, so I'm looking forward to it. Going to see my father, and it should be a lot of fun, and we'll see what the Mohegan Sun has to do for us. We're staying at the Norwich Holiday Inn Express. Got the rate $49.99. Can't beat that, and it should be fun.
Look at you over there.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks, guys. We will see you. What the hell is this? PS4 advertisement for what? What is this? What kind of party will you have, it says?
A party like...
Oh, SingStar Celebrity, Hidden Agenda. Oh, what's PlayLink? I've never even heard of this stuff. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. Oh, this would be good. Me and you should. It's called That's You. Get hilariously personal in an audacious quiz with up to 5 of your family and friends and find out what you really think about each other.
Can you play it right now?
Grab your smartphone or tablet, snap a selfie, and reveal your daring side in over 1,000 funny questions, drawing challenges, texting games. Yeah, but this is for the PlayStation, so I just gotta buy it. It's called That's You.
So how do you...
PlayLink games. Your phone is the controller, your friends are the... Alright, from quick fire quizzes to immersive multiplayer experiences, PlayLink titles are all about social gaming that everyone can enjoy. Pop a game into your PS4, pick up your smartphone, gather around your TV, and prepare for a refreshingly different experience without the need for multiplayer DualShock 4 wireless controllers. Grab those friends who don't usually play video games. PlayLink titles are the perfect way to bring them into the fold, but if you're already a gamer, you'll have a blast too. So yeah, it's easy. I'm just going to pick up the game, and then we use our smartphones down there.
But what, like...
All right, these are the games. Let's see if you have any interest in these. Hidden Agenda. It's for 1 to 6 players. Blending elements of movies and games, this narrative-driven adventure drops you into a tale rife with chilling moral dilemmas.
I'm in there.
Up to 5 of you can join in and influence the story, but beware, not all of you will be working towards the same objective.
Okay.
We talked about That's You. Then there's Knowledge is Power.
Yes.
Answer a massive variety of trivia questions to outsmart your opponents with tactile challenges thrown in to keep you on your toes.
Love trivia.
This is all about speed and accuracy. Are you up to the task? And then SingStar Celebration, we're not going to do that. Hit the high notes with a singing game featuring upbeat tracks, foot-stomping hits, and your favorite party-pumping classics. No mic, no worries. Combine your smartphone with the SingStar mic app and get ready for your big moment.
Absolutely.
You're going to do that too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And Frantics. Arcade-style fun and madcap minigames are all the rage in Frantics, where you and up to 3 friends have to face off in a variety of challenges. Bluff, battle, negotiate, and cooperate your way to victory, but beware, wisecracking host The Fox is also on hand to stir things up. Alright, so Frantics comes March 2018. SingStar apparently is already out. So these are already out. The other ones.
Wait, you have to buy one game, or...?
They're 4 different games.
For PlayStation?
PlayStation 4, yeah.
So what's...
PlayLink.
So what's on the screen? Like, when you put it in the PlayStation?
The thing is on the screen, and you're going to use your smartphone as a controller. So you just download the app, I imagine. Okay. But it's interesting, so I'm going to pick that up. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
See ya.